So good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. I am Jean-Yves Tresson, working for the last 15 years for Dassault Systèmes in the industry team as senior consultant based in Paris, France. With me, I have the pleasure to have Kip Speck, Director of PLM at Vias, who is our key partner in the US. So Kip, if you want to say a couple of words about yourself.
Thank you very much, Jean-Yves. So yes, thank you very much for everybody for joining. We appreciate it very much. I'm Kip Speck with Vias. As he said, I'm the director of PLM, cloud, on-premise, and all things 3D experience related. So I've been in the industry for about 20-some years with the Movia and Dassault products.
Very good. So thank you, Kip. So through the content we're gonna present, we will answer the question how to ensure the digital continuity for equipment, oil and gas equipment with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So I don't know if you have ever heard about the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. We will go through it, but just in a couple of words, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform allows the users to model, simulate, and basically evaluate the impacts before creating any experience in the real world. And today, this is also what we call the fact to create a digital twin. So basically, what is real, so what is physically here, and what we created in a virtual world. So the presentation has been prepared with Vias. The document can be shared, so don't hesitate to raise your hands or ask any questions that we will answer at the end of the presentation. So related to the contents, we will go through the global trends and challenges that we see in the industry equipment, oil and gas industry. Then more specifically, the collaboration between the stakeholders. So here we talk about the operators, the EPC, engineering, procurement, construction companies, and the OEM and tiers. Actually, we will focus a bit more on the OEM and tiers. This is basically our target today in terms of market. Then we will say a few words about Vias and Dassault Systèmes, just some corporate profiles for you to better understand who we are and how we work. A focus on a solution that we call digital equipment continuity to answer our question how to ensure a digital continuity for oil and gas equipment. And finally, a conclusion, our main takeaway. So as you can see on the screen, today we see 6 main industry global trends and drivers. The number one is about enterprise agility to make certain your business has the agility to meet the highly competitive pressure of customer demand. And you know, with the pandemic more than ever, we really understand how agility is crucial for our daily activities and the way that we do business. The second trend is more about self-aware, you know, what we call self-aware connected system. So it's big names, but actually, and maybe you will better understand the concept. Today, we don't talk anymore only about mechanical. We talk more and more about multidisciplinary engineering, okay? And this approach means that we are working with several engineering disciplines, such as, of course, mechanical, but also electrical, fluidic, control systems, and so on. And in fact, the way to do so, accelerate the machine versatility and performance from anywhere. The third one, production of one. So here, the objective is really somehow to adopt a smart and flexible business environment to develop and deliver personalized products or equipment more rapidly than ever before. So what does it mean? Basically, the target is really to make the production network much more flexible than before, because our customers have some very high requirements and very specific requirements. And this is why we talk about modular management and configuration management, working with version and variants. You can retrieve this approach in the aerospace and defense or automotive industry, for instance. It's really a cross-industry approach. Then the fourth one, equipment as a service. This one is really interesting because basically it keeps operations running smoothly and expand after sales revenue, the potential by including servicing needs at the beginning of the product development process. So it means that today the offering that we are giving to our customer must integrate well the product, but also the service. And for the companies like OEM or others, this is very important because basically they make money on the services, you know, less on the product, but really more and more on the service. So this is why after sales is really strategic for such companies. And on top of that, we understood that the clients will pay more for the machine outcome, the equipment outcome, without owning machines. So meaning that today the client would like to improve his OPEX, the operational expenditure, and save the capital expenditure. Okay. The fifth one is about the enterprise risk planning. So here we would like to manage the business risk and we need to adapt and respond to any internal or external opportunity, demand, disruption, or threats. And the last one, the circular innovation. We are helping the companies to really become a more sustainable and responsible manufacturing business, while of course our customers want to drive their company growth. And today this is more and more important because uh, you take for example with the pandemic in Europe we have some plants, and if you want to get access to those plants you need to show that you have basically, or you are a circular company, or you are managing such topic. And it's more and more, I would say, important because today those, I would say, states, government, or let's say authorities would like to see some KPIs, some key performance indicators. So this is really a key topic today. So, okay, we saw the market drivers and basically the priority that the customers are giving on that. Now, to give you 4 examples, we can associate the market trends with initiatives to be a little bit more, I would say, pragmatic, initiatives that have been deployed in some companies. So, for example, the fact to improve the collaboration between teams, breaking silos and make it real time. So for that, it doesn't matter if you are a big company or a small and medium business company. We can see that in most of the organizations, even sometimes in my own organization. The second one is more focusing on innovation to address new customers, markets, and gain competitive advantage. So here it's important because basically to show our competitiveness, we must deliver on the market some innovative equipment. So this is really key. The third one is the delivery of the customization for the client that are willing to switch from some very specific processes. I think that you heard about the ETO, so the engineering to order, to CTO, configure to order process through configuration management. Okay, so to work very specifically on, again, what I said, variants and versioning configurations processes. And the last one, the definition of some new business models, because today people are looking for a better omni-channel experience. So what does it mean? It means that people, they want to stay connected with whatever devices, computers, mobile phone, iPads, and from any place. Okay, so now let's look at the business partners collaboration, the stakeholders collaboration, working on a same project. So it's not a news, collaborating with the supply chain is a challenge. It is not only between the contract owner and the OEM, but this is also between the OEM and its own ecosystem, so the tiers. And this results in a very complex collaboration management because we talk about requirement management, control and monitoring of manufacturing, execution of the project, and very often we can see a very clear cut between the engineering and the manufacturing processes. Another driver, that we mentioned a couple of slides back, again, is omni-channel experience, because this new way of working basically will help company and teams to improve efficiency because it gives a business agility thanks to data access. I have access to my data. I don't spend a couple of days to retrieve and to get access to those data. So this is real-time access data through dashboarding. Basically, Keep will show you that live. Visualization, issues management, and so on. We will talk about that at the end of the presentation. And therefore, this is really strategic to allow such agility with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And here, just, we were focusing a little bit more on the oil and gas industry. So this is why we took as example ExxonMobil as operator and McDermott as engineering, procurement, construction company working with the ecosystem. We are working with both players, and what we would like to do is really to understand how to embrace the whole ecosystem working within a single environment. So this is interesting. Now, to tackle this collaboration challenge between the different stakeholders, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform will help you to do what? Basically, you will be able to manage the requirements and to understand the stock level of the customers, then to be able to better schedule and plan, have a better sales forecast and planning accuracy, then manage engineering and manufacturing changes, and Keep is gonna show you right after that. Another point that this is really crucial, and for me, this is kind of first step, is really to build a unique data referential and stop working with various sources of information leading to time-consuming and errors. And finally, manage multidisciplinary engineering. So, this is what I was talking about when I was referring to the drivers: mechanical, piping engineering, tubing, sheet metal, design, and simulation. So, few words on Vias. Keep, you can take the hand if you want.
Sure. Thank you very much. So at Vias, kind of give you a little bit of background of Vias. We've been known quite extensively for our simulation, our doctors, our people that work at Vias for our simulation, and also in our PLM industry and solution provider to OEM and or to tier 1 suppliers as well. So a lot of our biggest initiatives fall into many different industries and capabilities. So when we talk about our industries that we cover most of the same industries as Dassault does, but we focus on certain ones: transportation, mobility, aerospace, industrial equipment, engineering, energy and process being a big one as well. And as we talk about how it is in the past year into next year, the need for supplier OEM collaboration is becoming not as a secondary requirement or a third level requirement. It's becoming one of the most important pieces to having a better, faster turnaround time in your design and development and go-to-market process. So this collaboration between tier 1 and OEM is extremely important. And we've been developing our process to help using the Dassault tools the platform, the 3D experience, to be able to deliver those capabilities very easily and implement them quickly with customers. So again, in the marine and offshore, life science and high tech, you know, a lot of these areas, they cross over in different roles or different functionalities, but we do have also our capabilities in engineering consultancy. So if you need additional resources, maybe you don't want to hire somebody direct, we do have resources for those as well. We have all the software that you need. We provide all kinds of training. We are a certified partner to be able to deliver training and certifications to customers. And then your automation and customization and simulation services. So we do quite extensive services in the simulation, especially in oil and gas, for many different companies to be able to provide solutions to how to prove their FEA and things like that as well. And globally, we're in the US, India, Canada, and Mexico, so we have a global presence as well.
And Mexico.
Yes, and Mexico. Sorry about that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kip. Just a few words about Dassault Systèmes. So for 40 years, Dassault Systèmes is helping customers to digitally transform their business processes with industrial solutions, like Kip mentioned, from the equipment design to the after sales, or let's say the end of the project. Today, we have about 20,000 employees around the world, with the support of our partners, great ones like Vias in the US and India, Mexico, and Canada. And this is really key for us to work with professional partners, because we are on the market locally. It helps us to understand the local requirements and be very close to our customers. If customer call us like, I need you tomorrow, we need to be able to respond and to be on site. We work with many customers, as you can see, 270,000 customers, so many customers from different industries, industrial equipment, oil and gas, aerospace and defense, and so on. So basically 11 industries. And this is interesting because we are focusing more and more on the business processes, and we can see that in some cases, from one industry to another one, basically we talk about the same business process. Like for example, I will take again my example of the piping engineering. We can retrieve this business process in the marine offshore, okay, in the construction industry, in the energy industry, in the oil and gas industry, and of course industrial equipment industry. Okay, so this is interesting because actually we talk about 11 industries, but somehow for some business processes, basically we are working on the same. And finally, I think this is important to mention. We are a long-term strategy and long-term investment company. Basically, the main shareholder of Dassault Systèmes is Dassault family. And this is important because it enables to be one step ahead of the competition. And basically, to make it short, nobody can buy or acquire Dassault Systèmes. It means that if you have some mid-term or long-term projects, of course with Vias, but we will be all along with you on the project. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit more interesting. Just so Kip is going to showcase, but just oh sorry. Yeah, so just a couple of words on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. The 3DEXPERIENCE platform, there is kind of a bug, I think. Let me see. Okay, so the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is a platform for knowledge and know-how. Okay, I will just do like this because, sorry for that. Okay, so again, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is a platform for knowledge and know-how. Basically, this is kind of a game changer collaborative environment that empowers business and people with a very simple target that is innovation. As you can see on the screen, The platform is represented by a compass. Okay, so actually this is good because I can better show you. Okay, a compass. So the north quadrants will help the teams to collaborate, exchange ideas through communities that we are going to create. The west quadrant, this one, so the 3D modeling, will gather a unique portfolio of modeling technologies and services ranging from 3D modeling to system logical and functional modeling. Okay, so basically we are talking about schematic, diagrams, isometrics, and 3D modeling. The south quadrant, this one, the V plus R, so the virtual plus reality, corresponds to real-time realistic simulation, and Vias is expert on that, so I need to be careful on what I say. Basically, it relies on multi-physics, multi-scale, and multidiscipline assets. We talk about structures, fluids, electromagnetics, acoustics, and so on. Okay, so several types of simulations. And the last one, this is the east, the real-time 3D experience, the intelligence. The information intelligence allows you to search, sort, filter, navigate, and understand the data. So basically, we talk about intelligent information, artificial intelligence, historical data that you need to retrieve because you need to, I would say, perform some scenario, and you need to have a 360-degree view of all the data that you have or the data that you would like to work with, the semantic indexing, and so on. And in order to take the most informed decision, because at the end of the day, why I want to get access to the data, because I need to take some decisions. Okay, so keep let's see with you what does it mean and how it works between an OEM and a supplier. If you want, I can go to the next. You want me to go to the next slide, or you want to first to go to the dashboard?
Yeah, and I'll take it from here. I'll go ahead and do the video
So
and presentation from my side.
so let me change the presenter. Here we are. Okay, you have the hand. Perfect.
Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So to kind of give you a little bit of a layout, as Johnny used to point out, is in the compass in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. A couple of things that I'll give you kind of a walk around or the dime tour. But as you pointed out, the compass here, when we select the compass, you have all kinds of information from here, all the different roles that you have, and those roles show you different applications that you have from that perspective. And those kind of tools are what allow us to collaborate with different users in the business based on their function, their skills, and the information that they need, right? And then again, at the top of what I have is my dashboards. And from the dashboards, I can create my own dashboards, or the company can create dashboards and share them to everybody as well. Which what allows this to be done is to give more collaboration and more standard processes, as well as allow users to define the system the way that they want to see it, things that are important to them, right? So what I'm looking at here is a tab in my dashboard that I created that's kind of a bill of material view of all the information. And the nice thing about it is I can customize this as much as I want. I could take and find one of my apps that I want to put in here. I can search for like a specific app, and I can drop it in here, and I can just change my dashboard and make it based on what the information I'm trying to deal with. Maybe I got a request to change something, so I need to look at it with a different application or something like that. So I have very easily manage my dashboards and my interface as a user. And again, I can also set these up as a company and then share these with other people as well, right? So essentially what I have here is just a tab, and I have different tabs to show me different information. So as I can navigate through the different information, I can, like if I wanted to view this object, I can just drag and drop it. So all of the widgets and everything are interactive. So any information I have in one, I can drag and drop it into the other. And for today's discussion, I've created one tab called Oem Collaboration. And what I am is I logged in as somebody as an OEM. So this is my company blowout preventer. And I have a supplier that's working with me on the bonnet, right? So the supplier maybe provides the bonnet or different components and things like that. And what I'm telling the supplier here is there's maybe stress cracks on the flange or whatever it is. And what I did is created a 3D issue, right? So for this issue that I created, I can see the information about it. And from here, I can say that the information here, I can pinpoint it. I can say it's tied to this specific 3D model or this physical product. I can assign people to it. And here I've assigned a supplier. And the reason I can assign a supplier is because the only thing I did was invited them into my platform. I have their email, I sent them an email, I gave them a license, I said, I would like you to contribute or to collaborate on the design with me in real time. So I invited them in, and using the software, the interface, the tools, the widgets that are provided on the platform, they're able to interact with me directly. So this ability to collaborate with users and having this platform understand it's a web-based platform, meaning mobile first, web first. They don't need to have a ton of different software installed on their local machine. They don't have to have a PLM system installed on their machine or anything else. So this means that I can invite any supplier or anybody I want into my platform and have them start contributing to the designs or the approvals or information and stuff like that. So now that I had them on here, I can assign them this issue to review this issue. I can add attachments to it. We can have conversations about it, things like that, right? So it makes it very easy for me to communicate with the supplier or anybody else that here's the information I want you to have. And over here, what I see in this 3D issue is I've actually created the issue and pinpointed it to the 3D geometry. Not just a side note, not just a markup or anything else, but I've actually created a 3D issue and tied it to a very specific surface on this bonnet. So that way, when somebody's looking at it, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And over time, if I have many issues, I'll see all the different issues tied to this. So if this part has continuously caused more issues than it's worth, I might decide it's time to redesign this part, or maybe look at a different supplier. You know, if I'm continuously having issues, I might need to reevaluate some of the design criteria or specifications or requirements. And all of those things are things that we manage in the platform, even all the way to requirements, what material, what finish, everything, right? So we can manage all of that in the platform as well. So anyway, so from here, you know, like I said, I can create dashboards and tabs and things like that to share information. Over here, I also have what we call communities. And these communities are a great way to have kind of an informal conversation with people or other people in my company. And maybe I said, you know, on this one here, I've got a new post about the blowout preventer, right? So I've got an exploded view posted up here. And the only thing I did was take a snapshot of the component in the viewer in an exploded view and post it over here, and I can view it from here as well. So the community gives me a great way to communicate information in an informal way without doing a lot of copy paste, no emails, all this other stuff. And I can add whatever members into this community I want. I can make it public, or I can just keep it private amongst members that I want in here, right? So you could also create ideas and this other kind of stuff. So this whole notion about collaboration, how do we engage OEM suppliers, tier 1, tier 2, how do we bring everybody together? And the platform gives us that capability, all the way from just informal conversation, all the way to formal tracking of issues and management, all the way to design and collaboration, to requirements, everything else, and everything is tied together. Meaning that if I have a physical product or I have a requirement, I can actually tie that requirement to a very specific component, right? So that collaboration between OEMs or suppliers, or even tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers, gives us that flexibility, right? So this is a great way for us to have that kind of interface, okay? So what I'm going to show you is I'll bring up a video, and I use this in SOLIDWORKS, and understand that regardless if it's SOLIDWORKS, NX, V5, regardless of what CAD tool it is, I have that ability to see and view all the information in the platform, regardless of the CAD authoring tool. Because what we have is what's called Power By, and the Power By allows me to design in the tools I have, and then use those into the platform without, like in the viewer, without having to have that CAD application if I need to create an issue or that kind of stuff. So the platform gives me the viewing capabilities without necessarily having the CAD authoring tools. Okay. So from a supplier perspective, as the supplier, I have access to only certain information, but this issue was assigned to me, so I see that issue. And it might be that the only thing I can see as part of that blowout preventer is this one bonnet. So if I don't have access to the other components, I can't see it. So that helps with my IP security by saying that I only want to give access to these certain components to the supplier, and that's it. They're in position, so that meaning that it's not just a component that I'm giving them access to. I can actually have the assembly and say, as it is in the assembly, I give them access to this component. That way it stays in position relative to the other components in the assembly. So which is very important, because now if they want to change a mate or a face or something like that, or a radius, you know, then when I, as an OEM, I don't have to take that and say, okay, now let me go update my model. As they design in context, in things like that, I now, as the OEM that has a full view of it, I can now see how that affected the rest of the assembly without having to do this insert, replace, and all this other stuff back and forth. Okay. So let's kind of see what it looks like in action, and I created a video of the process, so I'll kind of narrate through it and then go through the system. So here in SOLIDWORKS, what we have is the model open, and this goes through saving it the first time and checking it in, or revising it and saving it to the platform. So what I see here is that I have the assembly here, and then what I want to point out is that it's interactive in the selections. So as I select on the tree on the left, it will select it on the tree on the right, as well as what SOLIDWORKS does, it'll select it in the model as well. So it's very interactive. So that way you're not having to, you can use this tree or the SOLIDWORKS tree however you would like to. Okay. So down at the bottom, what I've done is say save it. And one of the things that's important that is I can design it anywhere. But what the system says is that it's outside of the managed area, managed scope of where the platform manages files. So it's going to gather up all those files and put it into a managed space that's defined. So that's the first step of it. And the next step of it is it's going to save the design all the way up to the platform. And one of the interesting things here is I can create what's called derived output. That derived output might be STEP, it might be PDF, it might be all kinds of different options that you have to create derived output during this process. So maybe as an OEM, maybe I work with suppliers that are machining companies or something like that. So I can go ahead and create my derived output when I save the SOLIDWORKS or V5 or models and stuff like that. And that way I don't have to go through and say, okay, now let me do this. And the other good thing is every time I do a revision of it, it maintains that derived output to that specific model. So you're not trying to manage step files or other files in different locations or anything else. They're tied to this instance of this version of the models. Okay. So once it's all done, it's going to take and copy that all up to the server, up to the platform. And then the other part is now that my design is done, I can mature it. And when I mature it, I can say I can go to private, frozen, or I can go to released. And this is important, especially like early on in the R&D process or design phase where you haven't gone into production or anything like that, to be able to have this flexibility to mature files back and forth pretty easily. Now, once we go into production, I might have a more formal change process where I need a change request, change order, change actions, and things like that. And we'll see some of those options later on in the presentation. Okay. So from here, I can go ahead and just select them all, and I can say promote them. And then I can also resave them into a bookmark or a folder structure. And what's important about this is I'm going to use this folder structure on the platform to give access to my suppliers to only certain components, like the bonnet, right? So I can give access, I can save everything in here, but on each individual file, I can say the supplier has access to only certain components in here. And that's very important to be able to do without having to create copies and copies and copies or emails and everything else. The only thing I have to do is on the objects themselves in here, I can say share, and then say share that with the specific person or a group or something like that. So what I see here is this is the entire bill of materials, or BOP. And then what I'm also going to do is in this one, what I did in the viewer is I selected the object here. I created a slight note on here saying that there was an issue with the radius. And when I selected this in my 3D issue down here, I said create new issue. It knows that I've had this bonnet selected, right? So these widgets are interactive. So it knows that I have something selected here. So when I said create new issue here, 3D issue, it actually knows where I'm selecting, which component I have selected, okay? So I'm gonna say change the radius. I can set a priority. I can select my related objects. Maybe I have 4 or 5 different components I want to add to this issue. I just drag and drop them onto the issue itself. And here I just assign it to who I need it to be assigned to. Okay, so I'm going to assign it to the supplier. I'm going to say, please address this. And you'll notice now that there's a location icon. So I didn't just create a note. Up here, I kind of did some markups, but I'm actually pinpointing exactly what radius I'm talking about right here. So whenever the supplier looks at it, there's no it's very, very, there's no ambiguity of where I'm talking about. I can show them exactly what radius, where I want it to be done, right? So now as a supplier, as I come in, I have access to it. I got that issue that was assigned to me, and I can look at it. I see there's exactly where the issue is right on that radius. That's what they're talking about. I can then say assign this issue to active, right? And now to let the OEM know that I'm working on it. And again, this doesn't require a lot of software on the supplier or OEM side to be pushed out all over the place. Because this is a web-based product, the only thing I had to do is invite the supplier into my platform, okay? Now they're using their own SOLIDWORKS licenses on their side, but whenever they check out or download the file to be able to work on, that's all they get, right? So now they open it up. They have the same integration because I gave them the access to those roles, and they have the ability to do the same thing, right? So here we've created a new revision. The supplier says, okay, I see that that's the case. I'll change the radius. I'm going to create a new revision of it. I'll work on revision B1. So once I get done with that, I'll make the change. And then I'm going to give back to the supplier the Rev B1. And we're going to compare the two of them, Rev B and Rev A, to see what from a 3D comparison what changed between the two of them. And what's important about that is when a lot of times OEMs or suppliers get geometry or 3D information from each other, and it's very difficult to understand what changed. And so with the compare tool, it gives me the ability to compare different revisions of objects in a 3-dimensional way, right? So which is very, very helpful. Especially between an OEM and a supplier relationship. Yeah, so here I'm gonna say open with, compare. And what it's gonna do is it looks at revision A, revision B. Now what's really nice about this is you see the color coding differences. You see it color coded all the different areas that have changed. So I changed this radius, it showed that radius everywhere it changed. So now the OEM knows exactly what the supplier changed. And this is very important to collaboration, and which is a really good reason, or a very strong reason for having a collaborative environment between the two of them, or multiples, right? I might have 5 different suppliers working on components on here, right? Which is very important, right? So now I can see the change history, everything that's happened. And now once I'm satisfied that the supplier did everything they need, I can then take this component and set it to released. And then in the assembly, upper level assembly, I can open it up and then I can say, go ahead and put in revision B1 of that, and I can update my assembly with the revision B1 of that component. Okay. So when I open up the assembly, you'll see that now it shows me that each instance of that bonnet, there's a new revision on there. So I see a plus here, 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 and here, because I have 4 bonnets, so it tells me all the instances that need to be changed. So I say get latest revision of B1, and it updates all the instances, and now it tells me my assembly needs to be saved as well. So I'm going to do that. I'll generate my components. And one of the other nice things is that what it's telling me is there's an error because it's not reserved. So even in this dialog box, I have an option here just to click reserve without having to go back and find all the different issues. I can deal with those issues right from this dialog box. So I reserve it, I go ahead and save it and check it in. Okay. So anyway, so from my perspective, and then once we're all done, you know, I might come back into my community, post another message saying, hey, this is a great job, whatever it was, and say, and close the issue, right? So the interactive, the ability to interact with customers or OEMs and suppliers is key to being able to increase or decrease your production or your design and development time, and be able to work with many different suppliers at the same time. Okay. And Johnny, that's the end of my presentation of this so far.
Very good.
Go ahead and hand it back.
Good. I mean, it's not new for me, but this is good. Okay. Yes, my screen. So Kip, yeah, you can see my screen, right?
I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it was a good demonstration. Thank you, Kip. So basically, as you understood, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform enables the change for innovation. And again, as Kip said, it doesn't mean that you need to change your legacy or whatever. We will manage, and we will basically connect with the legacy. In this table, you can read the processes or way of working present, the as-is processes, and the future, the to-be, leading a business change or transformation. So basically, this is interesting because for some customers, they have a lot of ideas, projects, but they don't know exactly where they could start, you know. So each line could be considered as kind of initiative. You can take as an example the first one, the transition from the 2D and paper to the 3D and digital, and therefore, by doing so, access to other business processes such as simulation, because we are working with 3D, so design plus simulation to cover the overall engineering. Or another one, the information locked in a department or within a team to a better collaborative teamwork. Okay. So now related to our solution called Digital Equipment Continuity, the platform again will will help to manage several business processes. Okay. And here, if we deep dive, basically, we are going to address all the life cycle of the equipment from the research and development to the after sales, the services. Sorry. So specific roles are proposed, as Kip showed. So communities creation to share ideas with teams, engineering, mechanical design, electrical, digital mock-up, review the components. So here the catalog, the library management, digital manufacturing with the equipment virtual build, and simulation to finally go with collaboration and governance. Okay, and when we say governance, here we are also talking about requirements management, project management, EBOM, and MBOM management. So this is the collaborative engineering to manufacturing, to make sure that there is a continuity from the engineering to the manufacturing. Then, for me, the main differentiator of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is really to ensure, again, this digital continuity from one discipline to another one, and basically to break the silos, okay? So here we will talk about the management of change. Again, this is what Kip showed in the demonstration. Configuration, project, requirements across the all disciplines. So it also represents a model base because we are no more working on a very specific data. We are working based on a model. So for the engineering people, it means that they are going to address the multidiscipline engineering. For the simulation team, a model-based optimization, and for the manufacturing, model-based manufacturing and services. But basically, we are always talking about the same model. So this is interesting because we can also see that we provide a single structure, but based on the disciplines, people will call this structure differently. You know, they will have some different namings. So for example, mechanical design is gonna call it mechanical CAD structure. For the electronic guy, the ECAD structure, the lead engineer, the product structure, the software engineer, the software structure, and so on. So it's interesting again because we can see even within our own organization, we have different naming convention because people are working on different disciplines. But at the end of the day, we talk about the same structure. And most of the time, basically, we call it, let's say, product structure. So when we go to the project management, project that is pretty well executed is really key to deliver on time, on budget, and then be able for the tiers or the OEM working with the EPC companies to be awarded for the next contract or the next bid. So two main phases that we are going to work on. The first one is the setup of the project, and the second one, of course, the execution of the project. So the project setup here, we will define, let's say, the work breakdown structure, the creation of a plan, the members that I'm going to assign to my project, the creation of the milestones, the gates, and so on. And of course, and this is also what Kip showed, everything will be managed within a very specific life cycle that we will define at the beginning of the process. The next phase will be the project execution, basically the rollout of my projects. Of course, you know, we talk sometimes we talk about some complex phases like configuration management and so on. But we need to keep in mind that the change management is really key. And if you didn't put in place such process first, this is what you will have to do. So here, the project execution is managed with a flexible change management models. So you can see different levels of change management, the standalone with the change action, the fast change order, or more flexible process with the change request, the change order, the change action, all change processes with a very specific and defined life cycle. And on top of that, so the people, they better control what they do within the organization. And this also allows traceability and compliancy with regulation bodies or the audit management. So these slides might be a little bit complex, but this is just to show you that we work based on unique data models. And data model based, of course, on the industry. Industrial equipment will have a specific one, oil and gas will have another one, aerospace another one, and so on. But, and this is also what Kip said when he introduced VIAS, is that if you would like to put in place your very specific, your own data model through parameterization and customization, of course, we can do so. Okay, so here, to make it very short, because we are close to the end of the time, but here this is really to present the high view of our strategy conceptual model, combining the engineering and manufacturing framework. So the engineering on the left side of the slide and manufacturing on the right one. So I will just introduce two main concepts: the engineering item, that this is at the core, because the platform, the 3D experience platform, will provide a reference structure of the engineering item that represent the physical as design view of the end product or equipment. Okay, and in fact, my engineering item will contain the assemblies, the sub-assemblies with the part numbers, the multidiscipline design information, and so on. Okay, and know that the XCAD imports and integration to the 3D Experience platform is possible with, and again, this is what Kip said, with Power BI, and this is what he showed with, for example, SolidWorks. We are going to reference SolidWorks data within the 3D Experience platform. Then the second one, it was the engineering item. The second one, which is the manufactured item, that is also at the core. Manufactured item is used to define the assemblies, manufactured parts, and by parts that are reflecting the manufacturing process decomposition. So here, basically, we will talk about the manufacturing bill of material definition with a 3D oriented authoring functionalities and dedicated tools. We talk about a tabular view of for my manufacturing bill of material review and authoring. We will also be able to manage the engineering evolution and impact on the process planning. And here, what is important to understand is that because I was talking about my manufacturing bill of material, I will not create it from scratch. In fact, my manufacturing bill of material, I will take it from the engineering bill of material. So basically, I will make it, evaluated from the engineering to the manufacturing. Okay, and then I will be able to compare the two, my engineering bill of material and my manufacturing bill of material. And I will be able also to make it, evaluated with drag and drop from my engineering to my manufacturing bill of material to make sure that everything is consistent. So of course, when we talk about integration, we talk about also the ERP integration to have a clear definition of business processes phases. So what is in the 3D Experience platform and what is in the ERP system? Basically, what I'm going to manage, with one system and what I'm going to manage with the other one. How I'm going to synchronize the data, driven by the object maturity, the status, and so on. Okay. So maybe in few words, you can see all disciplines, businesses, processes are integrated within this unique platform with no data duplication on files or server. Okay, so this is really important to understand. And also in terms of infrastructure, I think we didn't mention about that, but the platform is available on premise and also on cloud. Okay, with native application, the web, mobile authoring, and so on, based on what you would like to do. So just let me see the time. Yes, we are good. So just to conclude, switching to the 3D Experience platform as a subcontractor or let's say OEM company will allow you to do what? First, to innovate and manufacture with more intelligent and connected equipment. Okay. Reduce the cost price by optimizing the entire manufacturing process from the planning to the execution of my operations. So basically the manufacturing operation management. Deliver more efficient and reliable equipment and connected equipment. And finally, structure my projects, manage deliverables, and deliver my projects as planned. So this is the end of the webinar. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or project in mind. Again, you have the contact information on the screen. Maybe we can take one or two questions for the last minute that we have. So let me see if we have a question. Basically, again, you can go in the panel to raise your hand or just type your question. Let me see if we have some. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Maybe I can take the first one. Let me see. Okay. Can I design or simulate directly in the platform, or do I need to use several softwares? Okay, this is a good one. So basically, again, in the 3D Experience platform, you can work all along in the same environment, working with the same interface. And this is what Kip showed, switching from one application like the 3D design to simulation based on your role or based on the project that you are working on. Yeah, and by doing so, it really saves your time because again, you are within the same interface and you are much more efficient in your work. So you don't need to work with several softwares, okay? And of course, I mean, several softwares of the system, but if you don't have some other ones coming from the competition, we can reference the data, we can import the data, and then be able to address other business processes. So this is again back to the integration capabilities. Maybe we can take another one. So, hello, thank you for the webinar. This is interesting. Would you recommend to start with engineering or collaboration projects? Basically, where will you give the priority on? So, actually, it really depends on your requirements, the project that you have, and also the legacy that you are working with. First, again, this is back to my message. We can build or strengthen your data backbone, to ensure you collaborate with a unique data referential. Again, you don't need to work with various sources of information. So this is the first one, the first pillar that we can put in place. The document management, project management, requirement management. And then in parallel, we can address some engineering disciplines. So in parallel or together with VIAS, we can work on a roadmap with different steps. It really depends on the level of maturity and the time that we have to take to manage those different phases. I think we are good. Kip, do you have any question from your side?
I saw one. Do you see in other industries the supply chain collaboration challenge? Yes, we do. So we can take a look at the aerospace and defense, automotive, where supply chain is integrated. Meaning we all have like a Boeing or Airbus asking suppliers to work with the same application or tools. In the oil and gas industry, supply chain is not integrated or really particularly, which leads to another issue. Every company works in silos without taking into account the ecosystem. It takes time. EPC operators, OEM, understood the issue and start and give a real priority on it. The other point is that, it's very difficult to force some companies, especially in the oil and gas industry, to use certain tools. And this is what my point was earlier is you can keep your tools, the suppliers or OEMs and things like that, they can use the tools and integrate it with the OEMs or from supplier to supplier. It's easy to just invite people into your platform. And because of the Power BI or the integration and the efforts from Dassault to be able to accommodate whatever tools you have, and be able to visualize and collaborate on a platform is the key to it, right? Instead of this massive,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to make all my suppliers do a certain thing, being able to integrate what the suppliers do in a collaborative platform and be able to accommodate them. And I think that's the key to it, of how we move forward and bridge the gap that's currently out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the adoption of the solution by the people, by the users, by the companies.
That's
That's
correct.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Kip, I think we are good. We are on top of the hour.
Yep. Thank you very much, Chinese. I appreciate everything. And you
So
know,
thanks a lot.
if anybody needs to reach out to us, our information is part of the webinar. Feel free to reach out to us at any time, answer any additional questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thank you, Kip, and to all, have a very good afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you much.